just want to clarify that when you're working with the blending modes, you can see that the blending modes are in a list. And so when I move through that using the shortcut, then if I use the plus key, it moves down the list. And then if I want to go back, I can use the shift minus. So you can kind of navigate through that just by using the plus, and then if you want to go back a step, you can use the minus. Okay? Designing a postage stamp is a little bit like designing a logo. So there's not a lot of room for extra detail. You really want to create a tight design with a focal point and attention to every design element you put in there needs to function and work with all your other design elements. So the last thing I did when I was designing my stamp was I added the bottom kind of colored bar to it because I thought that helped kind of anchor the design. And as you can see, it helps to repeat color in a design, especially this kind of design, because then it reinforces kind of the unity behind all the different elements. So I've used red, black, and white, and I've tried to repeat the black element a couple of times. I've tried to repeat the white element a couple of times, and the red element now 3 times. So in that sense, try to kind of work with a limited palette. And if your graphic has more detail, that's or it's photographic in nature, then you can always edit your image in Photoshop to make it stand out. You have to remember that ideally you should be printing out your postage stamp, even in black and white, to see how it looks at the size. Like on the screen, it kind of looks like my postage stamp is big, but my actual size is 1.2 inches by 2.43. And it's even a little bit smaller than that because that's my total kind of dimension of my file size. So my postage stamp is probably around just over 1 inch by just under 2.4. So, and the reason it looks big is because I've got it set 300 resolution, but it's a small, really small design. And it's deceiving on the screen because it looks really big, and that's because your resolution is high. So once you get something you like, print it out. And then you're going to see it in its, because this is a postage stamp, it would be printed out. And you're going to see it in the format that it will be designed for. And so the last thing, there's lots of ways to approach making your design. Sometimes you need to magnify in and make sure that things are lined up perfectly, really focus in on the minute details, like zooming in at 1200 or even 3200 is normal when you're designing a logo. So I can see that there's a little red bar here. And as you can see, the nature of this letter, this Futura A, it's lowercase a, is that the left rounded side goes down like 1 pixel more. Now, if I print this out and I can actually see that, then I would come back in and adjust that. I would just select and fill that in so that it matches perfectly with the stem of the letter. So it's these little details, lining things up, making sure that things look balanced and integrated. And with that in mind, I'm going to just do a little touch up down here where I'm going to select my ellipse layer. And I'm going to take my eraser tool and I'm going to erase this part, the counter space of the 9. And I think that, that's all I need to do. And now when I magnify out, it gives it a little bit more pop, your eye is drawn to that. And I really like how it kind of makes use of that negative space. All right. So, look for those little areas that you can massage in order to finish your design and make it feel very polished.